When I was 19, I was like a madman chasing after my crush one after another. I would send hundreds of messages every day, wait for her outside the university gates, and even study her daily schedule just to accidentally bump into her. And what was the result? She blocked me on Facebook, Instagram, and even my phone number. Until one day I stumbled upon a quote from Marcus Aurelius, an ancient Roman emperor. "What is meant for you will simply find you, like spring never chases the flowers to bloom." That quote was like a wake-up slap to my face, awakening me from the delusion of pointless pursuit. You know what's interesting? Marcus Aurelius wasn't just a powerful emperor. He was one of the greatest Stoic philosophers of all time. And here's the fascinating part. Even though he lived over 2,000 years ago, his teachings about love and attraction are incredibly practical in today's world, especially when we're living in a society where chasing has become an unwritten standard in love. But think about it. Have you ever seen the sun chase after flowers? Have you ever seen the ocean chase after waves? And more importantly, have you ever seen truly attractive people chase after someone? The answer is no. Because in nature and in love, everything operates according to a miraculous principle: attraction. I remember having a friend, average looking, not rich, even a bit memey. But strangely enough, he always had girls pursuing him. Once I asked him for his secret, he laughed and said, "I don't have any secrets. I just live authentically as myself, and people on the same frequency naturally find me." At the time, I thought he was speaking some high-level philosophy. But now I realize that was the essence of Stoic philosophy, a way of life that has existed for over 2,000 years. Today I want to share with you 7 crucial principles from Stoic philosophy that will help you shift from chasing to attracting. And what's special is that these principles don't just apply to love. They work in every aspect of life. Because, as Marcus Aurelius said, when you stop chasing, it doesn't mean you're giving up. It's the moment you start believing in the miracle of timing and what truly belongs to you. And before we dive into these specific principles, I want you to understand something. This isn't your typical how to get girls or how to get guys formula. This is an inner transformation journey, a process through which you not only learn how to attract others, but also learn how to become the best version of yourself. Because, as Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, said, "Never explain yourself to anyone, because the one who likes you doesn't need it, and the one who dislikes you won't believe it." Let's begin this journey of discovering these 7 miraculous principles, and I promise you, after this video, your perspective on love and attraction will completely change. Number 1. The chase paradox, the secret from Stoic philosophers. The first principle I want to share with you is called the chase paradox. Have you ever noticed in Tom and Jerry cartoons, the more Tom chases Jerry, the more he fails? Interestingly, the same applies to love. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his Meditations, "We lose the very things we chase too desperately, because this desperate pursuit blinds us to the reality that what we truly need might be right in front of us." Let me tell you about my friend Alex. Good-looking guy, stable job, incredibly gentlemanly. Alex fell in love with a girl at his company. Every morning, he'd place coffee on her desk. Every lunch break, he'd try to invite her to eat. He even memorized her schedule to accidentally meet her at the elevator. Can you guess what happened? She started avoiding him, even requested a transfer to another department. Meanwhile, the building security guard, who just greeted her with a genuine smile every morning, caught her attention, and she ended up making the first move. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, explained this phenomenon beautifully. He said, "Like a door, when you push too hard, it slams shut. People are the same way. When you create too much pressure, they tend to close their hearts. This is the paradox of pursuit. The harder you chase someone, the further they run away. Why does this happen? There are three main reasons. First, when you chase too hard, you unconsciously communicate one thing. You don't value yourself as much as the other person. In their subconscious, they wonder, why would someone valuable need to chase me like this? This is exactly what Epictetus warned about. Never depend on the admiration of others, because when you do, you diminish your own worth. Second, excessive pursuit creates heavy, pressuring energy. It's like trying to hold sand in your hands. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. Marcus Aurelius taught, be like water, not forcing, not straining, simply flowing naturally. And miraculously, water can seep into every crack, even break through solid rock. And third, most importantly, when you're too focused on chasing someone, you lose yourself. You forget about personal growth, forget about your passions and goals, and this makes you even less attractive in others' eyes. So what's the solution? Epictetus offered a simple piece of advice. Instead of chasing, become. Rather than spending time and energy pursuing someone, invest that time in becoming the best version of yourself. When you focus on self-development, something magical happens. People who share your frequency, who share your values, will naturally be attracted and find their way to you. Back to Alex's story. After his failure, he decided to stop chasing and focus on developing his career, taking new courses, and even joining a yoga class to improve his health. And guess what? Within 6 months, not one but 3 women actively approached him. Because when you stop chasing and start developing yourself, you create an entirely different energy, a natural, effortless, attractive force. And this is the first lesson from Stoic philosophy about the art of attraction. Don't chase, become. Because as Marcus Aurelius said, what belongs to you will find its way at the right time, with the right person, in ways you never expected. Remember, when you're chasing someone, you're operating from a place of lack. But when you're focused on becoming your best self, you're operating from a place of abundance. And in this universe, abundance attracts abundance, just as light attracts light. The moment you stop chasing and start becoming is the moment you activate the most powerful force of attraction, your authentic self. Number 2, do your best and detach. The Stoic art of effortless manifestation. Have you ever noticed how a magnet works? It's fascinating. When you try to force 2 magnets together at the wrong poles, they resist violently. But when you align them correctly and let go, they naturally snap together. This perfectly illustrates our second Stoic principle about attraction and detachment. In his writings, Epictetus shared a profound observation. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond our control. Now you might be thinking, that's easier said than done, especially in matters of the heart. But let me share a story that changed my perspective entirely. I had a friend, let's call her Sarah. She was what most people would call a control freak in relationships. She would meticulously plan every date, analyze every text message, and try to orchestrate every moment of her romantic connections. Despite having genuine feelings for people, her relationships kept falling apart. One day, after another failed relationship, she found herself reading Marcus Aurelius's words. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. Stand ready and firm to meet sudden attack, and when you have been thrown, rise up again. This brings us to the core of Stoic detachment. It's not about not caring, it's about caring in the right way. Think of it like holding a butterfly. If you grip too tightly, you'll crush it. If you're too loose, it'll fly away. But if you hold it gently, with open palms, you create the perfect space for it to stay or leave of its own accord. The Stoics taught us about what they called preferred indifference. Things we can desire and work towards, but must be willing to accept if they don't manifest. In modern dating, this translates perfectly. You can desire a relationship, work on being your best self, create opportunities for connection, but ultimately, you must detach from the outcome. Here's the practical application. When you're interested in someone, instead of obsessing over whether they like you back, focus on what you can control: your self-development, the energy you bring to interactions, the authenticity of your expression, your boundary setting, your response to any outcome. Let's look at what happened with Sarah after she embraced this principle. She stopped over-planning her dates, instead allowing conversations to flow naturally. She stopped analyzing text messages, choosing instead to respond authentically when she felt inspired. Most importantly, she stopped trying to control outcomes. The result? Her next relationship developed effortlessly. Why? Because when you detach from outcomes while staying true to your authentic self, you create space for genuine connection. As Seneca put it, "What fortune has made yours is not your own." In relationships, this means understanding that true connections can't be forced or controlled. They must be allowed to develop naturally. Remember that time you lost your keys? The more frantically you searched, the more elusive they became. But the moment you relaxed and stopped obsessing, they seemed to appear magically. Love works the same way. The more you try to force it, the more it eludes you. But when you focus on your own growth while maintaining a gentle, detached openness to possibilities, that's when magic happens. This isn't about becoming cold or unfeeling. In fact, it's quite the opposite. True detachment allows you to engage more fully with life and love, because you're no longer paralyzed by fear of outcomes. You can be fully present, fully authentic, and fully engaged while maintaining inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. The Stoics would often use the metaphor of an archer. The archer does everything in their power to aim accurately. They consider the wind, their posture, their breathing. But the moment the arrow leaves the bow, they must detach from the outcome. The wind might change, the target might move, but the archer's peace comes from knowing they did their best with the elements under their control. So, in your journey of attraction, be like the skilled archer. Put your best self forward, create opportunities for connection, but then, let go. Trust that what's meant for you will find its way, and what's not meant for you is making space for something better. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This is the essence of Stoic detachment, not an absence of feeling, but a presence of wisdom in how we hold our desires. Number 3, attract what you want. The Stoic law of attraction. Let me share something fascinating that Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his journal. "The universe is change, life is opinion." This seemingly simple statement holds a profound truth about attraction that most people miss. Today we'll explore how the Stoics understood the magnetic power of energy and intention thousands of years before modern science confirmed it. Imagine you're at a party. You'll notice something interesting. Certain people seem to have an invisible force field around them. People naturally gravitate towards them, even when they're not the most attractive or wealthy in the room. The Stoics understood this phenomenon well. Epictetus explained it perfectly. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This applies dramatically to your attractive energy. Let me tell you about James, a close friend of mine. Average height, average looks, average job. But something about him was extraordinary. His presence. Women would often say, "There's just something about him." What was this mysterious something? It was his energy, shaped by 3 core Stoic principles. First, inner certainty. The Stoics believed that true power comes from absolute self-acceptance. James never tried to prove himself to anyone. As Seneca put it, "He who is his own friend is a friend to all mankind." When you truly accept yourself, you stop seeking validation. This creates a magnetic confidence that others can feel. It's like having an internal compass that always points north, regardless of external chaos. Second, authentic expression. Here's a powerful quote from Marcus Aurelius. "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it." In dating terms, this means staying true to your values and personality, regardless of how others react. James never changed his opinions or interests to impress anyone. This authenticity created trust and attraction naturally. The third principle is what the Stoics called joyful indifference. Now, this might sound contradictory to attraction, but it's actually its secret sauce. Epictetus taught, "Don't seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and all will be well with you." When James interacted with women, he genuinely enjoyed the conversation without being attached to any outcome. This created a relaxed, inviting energy that people naturally wanted to be around. But here's where it gets really interesting. Modern quantum physics has confirmed what the Stoics intuited. Everything is energy. Your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs create a tangible, energetic field around you. When you're desperately seeking love, you're actually broadcasting a frequency of lack. But when you're content and self-assured, you broadcast a frequency of abundance. Let me give you a practical example. Two men walk into a bar. The first is thinking, "I hope someone likes me tonight. I'm so tired of being alone." The second is thinking, "What an interesting evening this will be. I wonder what engaging conversations await." Who do you think will be more attractive? The second one, obviously. Why? Because he's operating from abundance rather than scarcity. The Stoics had an exercise they called negative visualization. Instead of constantly visualizing what you want, like modern manifestation teaches, they suggested occasionally visualizing losing what you have. This might sound pessimistic, but it actually creates immense gratitude and abundance in your present moment. When you're grateful and abundant, you become naturally attractive. Here's how to apply this practically. Instead of thinking, "I need to find someone," think, "I am complete as I am." Instead of, "Why am I still single?" think, "What amazing opportunities might be coming my way?" Instead of, "Will they like me?" think, "Will we be a good match for each other?" This shift in energy is subtle but powerful. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." When you truly embody this wisdom, you become what the Stoics called a human magnet, someone who attracts others through their inner peace and self-containment. Remember, the law of attraction isn't about desperately wanting something. It's about becoming the kind of person who would naturally attract what you desire. The Stoics knew this secret. The more you focus on genuine self-improvement and inner peace, the more you naturally attract positive experiences and relationships into your life. Number 4, you will be uplifted at every turn, embracing the Stoic path of alignment. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to flow through life effortlessly, as if the universe itself is conspiring to help them? The Stoics had a fascinating term for this. They called it amor fati, the love of fate. But let's take that ancient wisdom and apply it to modern attraction in a way that might just transform your entire approach to relationships. Marcus Aurelius once wrote something incredible in his personal diary. "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This isn't just some feel-good quote. It's actually a powerful formula for creating magnetic attraction in your life. Let me explain why. I want to share a story about my friend Michael. He went through a devastating breakup, the kind that makes you question everything. His girlfriend of 3 years left him for his best friend. Classic nightmare scenario, right? But instead of letting this break him, he did something remarkable. He embraced what the Stoics call the obstacle is the way. Epictetus explains this principle beautifully. It's not what happens to you, but how you use it that matters. Michael started seeing his breakup not as a tragedy, but as an opportunity for growth. He joined a gym, classic, I know, but he also started reading philosophy, took up meditation, and most importantly, began viewing each setback as a setup for something better. Here's where it gets interesting. The Stoics believed in something they called divine providence, the idea that everything happens for a reason, but not in the way most people think. It's not about passive acceptance, it's about active alignment. As Seneca put it, fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling. Think about water for a moment. When it meets an obstacle, it doesn't fight. It flows around it, finding new paths, new opportunities. This is exactly what the Stoics meant by being uplifted at every turn. It's about maintaining your center while being flexible enough to adapt to life's flow. Michael started applying this principle to his dating life. Instead of seeing rejections as failures, he saw them as redirections. When a date didn't work out, instead of getting discouraged, he'd think, "Great, I'm one step closer to finding the right person." This shift in mindset created a remarkable change in his energy. The Stoics had a practice called premeditation of adversity, basically mentally preparing for challenges. But here's the modern twist. Instead of just preparing for the worst, use it to appreciate the best. When you're on a date, instead of worrying about rejection, appreciate the simple fact that you're there, learning, growing, connecting. Here's what happened to Michael. Within 6 months of adopting this mindset, he met someone amazing. But here's the key. It wasn't because he was desperately searching. It was because he had aligned himself with what the Stoics call the natural flow of life. He was uplifted at every turn because he chose to see every turn as an opportunity for upliftment. Let me give you some practical ways to apply this. When someone doesn't text back, think, "Perfect, this creates space for better connections." When a date gets canceled, think, "Excellent, now I have time for self-improvement." When feeling lonely, think, "This is my opportunity to build a stronger relationship with myself." Marcus Aurelius summed it up perfectly. Everything that happens happens as it should, and if you observe carefully, you will find this to be so. This isn't about blind optimism, it's about strategic alignment with life's natural flow. Remember, being uplifted at every turn doesn't mean everything goes your way. It means you find the way in everything. When you truly embody this principle, you become naturally attractive because you carry an energy of ease and flow rather than resistance and struggle. As Epictetus said, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well." This is the true secret of magnetic attraction, not fighting against life's current, but learning to surf its waves with grace and gratitude. Number 5. Where do your desires come from? A Stoic exploration of inner yearnings. Let's talk about something that might make you feel a bit uncomfortable: your desires. Specifically, let's explore an intriguing question that Marcus Aurelius used to ask himself. Is this one of the unnecessary things in life? Now, before you worry that I'm about to tell you to become a monk and abandon all desires, let me share something fascinating about how the Stoics viewed desire and attraction. Picture this. You're scrolling through Instagram, and suddenly you feel an intense attraction to someone who fits society's perfect image. Maybe they have the perfect body, the perfect lifestyle, the perfect everything. But here's what Epictetus would ask you. Is this truly your desire, or have you been programmed to desire this? I remember working with a client, let's call him David. He was exclusively pursuing Instagram models and influencers, constantly feeling frustrated and rejected. When I asked him why he was attracted to these specific women, his immediate response was, because they're beautiful. But when we dug deeper, something interesting emerged. His desire wasn't really about beauty, it was about status and validation. The Stoics had a brilliant concept called dichotomy of control. Epictetus explained it this way: some things are within our power, while others are not. But here's the modern twist. Many of our desires aren't even our own. They're implanted by social media, movies, and societal expectations. As Seneca noted, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. When we talk about natural desires versus artificial desires, it's like comparing hunger to craving fast food. Natural desires come from our authentic selves, the desire for genuine connection, emotional intimacy, growth together, and shared values. Artificial desires, on the other hand, are like fast food cravings. They're manufactured by external influences. They include things like seeking social status through relationships, needing validation from others, or trying to meet society's expectations of who we should be attracted to. Here's where it gets interesting. When David started examining his desires, he realized something profound. His attraction to influencers wasn't about the women themselves. It was about what they represented in his mind: success, validation, and social proof. It was like he was trying to collect Pokemon cards, not because he loved the game, but because having rare cards made him feel special. Once he understood this, his entire approach to dating changed. Marcus Aurelius wrote something powerful about this. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. This isn't just some ancient wisdom. It's a practical guide to modern attraction. When you start examining your desires with this level of honesty, you begin to notice something fascinating. Those perfect people you thought you had to chase, they might not actually be what you want at all. They might just be what you think you should want. Think of it like this. Have you ever been to a fancy restaurant and ordered something just because it sounded sophisticated, even though you really wanted a burger? That's what many of us do in dating. We pursue people who look good on paper, who fit society's template of desirability, while ignoring those who might genuinely make us happy. The Stoics would call this a classic case of mistaking the surface for the substance. David started applying some simple but powerful questions to his dating life. Would I still want this person if no one else knew about them? Does this attraction align with my core values? Or am I just chasing an image? Am I attracted to them or to what they represent? Something remarkable happened. He began noticing women he wouldn't have looked at twice before, women who shared his interests, values, and authentic way of being. His attraction became more genuine, more fulfilling. The Stoics believed in something they called natural order. Epictetus said, "Don't seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and your life will flow smoothly." In modern dating terms, this means aligning your desires with your authentic self, rather than forcing yourself to want what you think you should want. It's about being honest enough to admit that maybe, just maybe, what you're chasing isn't what you really want at all. And here's the beautiful part. When you align with your authentic desires, attraction becomes effortless. You're no longer trying to fit someone else's template or meet society's expectations. You're simply being real, and that realness is magnetically attractive. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you clean up your desires, you clean up your dating life. Number 6. Finding peace, letting go, and trusting the divine flow. Have you ever noticed how a river never fights its path? It simply flows, finding its way around every obstacle, under every bridge, through every valley. This is exactly what the Stoics meant when they talked about finding peace through acceptance. But don't mistake this for passive resignation. It's actually the most powerful force in attraction. Let me explain what I mean. Seneca once wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." Think about how this applies to modern dating. We're constantly worrying about the next text, the next date, the next step in the relationship. We're so focused on where we're trying to go that we miss the beauty of where we are. It's like trying to force a flower to bloom. The harder you try, the more you damage it. I remember this incredible story about my friend Rachel. She was what you might call a relationship planner. Every date was strategically planned, every text carefully crafted, every interaction meticulously analyzed. She was trying so hard to make things work that she was actually preventing them from working naturally. Then something happened that changed everything. Her phone broke for a week. No dating apps, no instant messages, no social media. At first, she was panicked, but then something magical started to happen. In this forced digital detox, Rachel found what the Stoics called ataraxia, a state of serene tranquility. Marcus Aurelius described it perfectly. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. During that week, Rachel started focusing on herself instead of focusing on finding someone. She rediscovered her love for painting, spent more time with friends, and most importantly, she stopped trying to control everything. Here's where it gets really interesting. The moment she stopped desperately seeking love, love started seeking her. The Stoics had a term for this. They called it euthymia, or the state of flowing with life rather than fighting against it. Epictetus explained it this way: "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will." Think of it like swimming in the ocean. When you fight against the waves, you exhaust yourself and risk drowning. But when you learn to flow with the waves, suddenly you're surfing them. This is exactly what happened with Rachel. Once she stopped fighting against her single status and started flowing with life, everything changed. She met someone at an art gallery, not because she was trying to, but because she was finally doing what she loved without agenda. The Stoics taught something profound about peace. It's not the absence of challenges, but the presence of acceptance. When you're at peace with where you are, you become naturally attractive. It's like you're broadcasting on a different frequency. Instead of sending out signals of neediness and anxiety, you're radiating contentment and authenticity. Here's a practical way to apply this. Next time you're feeling anxious about your love life, try this Stoic exercise called negative visualization. Instead of imagining your perfect relationship, imagine being completely alone and finding complete peace in that solitude. This isn't about giving up on love. It's about finding peace regardless of your relationship status. Marcus Aurelius had a beautiful way of putting this: accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. Notice he doesn't say desperately seek the people you want. He says accept and love what comes naturally. This is the divine flow the Stoics talked about. When you're in this state of flow, amazing things start happening. You stop overthinking every interaction. You stop trying to force connections. Instead, you become like that river we talked about at the beginning, flowing naturally, effortlessly finding your path. And here's the magical part. When you're in this state, you become incredibly attractive to others. Not because you're trying to be, but because you're finally, authentically yourself. Remember, Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that what's meant for you will find its way to you, and what's not meant for you will flow past you like water around rocks in a stream. This is true peace, not the temporary relief of getting what you want, but the lasting contentment of being at peace with whatever comes. Number 7. Be happy. Your wish is on its way. The Stoic approach to joyful manifestation. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to radiate happiness and opportunities just naturally flow to them? The Stoics had a fascinating insight about this phenomenon. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But this isn't just some ancient wisdom. It's a practical blueprint for magnetic attraction in modern life. Let me tell you about something extraordinary that happened to my friend Lisa. She had been single for 2 years, and like many of us, she was starting to feel that anxious pressure. You know, the one where every wedding invitation feels like a personal attack, and every couple on the street seems to be rubbing their happiness in your face. But then she discovered something the Stoics called proairesis, the power to choose our response to any situation. Epictetus put it beautifully. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Lisa decided to try something radical. Instead of seeing her single status as a problem to be solved, she chose to see it as an opportunity to be celebrated. She started treating herself the way she hoped a future partner would treat her. She took herself on dates, bought herself flowers, and most importantly, she started practicing what the Stoics called present moment appreciation. Here's where it gets interesting. The Stoics believed in something they called eudaimonia, a state of flourishing that comes not from external circumstances, but from internal alignment. Seneca explained it this way: true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Think about that for a moment. How often do we put our happiness on hold, telling ourselves, "I'll be happy when I find the right person," or "I'll be content when I'm in a relationship"? But here's the paradox, and this is where the magic happens. When you choose to be happy now, when you decide to flourish in your current circumstances, you become naturally magnetic. It's like you're broadcasting on a frequency of joy instead of need. And guess what? People are instinctively drawn to joy. Let me share a practical exercise the Stoics used, updated for modern dating. They called it morning gratitude. Instead of waking up and immediately checking your dating apps or worrying about being single, start your day by listing 3 things you're grateful for about your current situation. Maybe it's the freedom to pursue your passions, the ability to grow and develop yourself, or simply the peace of having your whole bed to yourself. The transformation in Lisa's life was remarkable. The moment she stopped treating happiness as a destination and started treating it as her natural state, everything changed. She became more confident, more authentic, and yes, more attractive. Not because she was trying to be, but because she was genuinely happy. And happiness, my friends, is the most powerful attractant there is. Remember what Marcus Aurelius said, "The universe is change, but our happiness depends on ourselves." When you truly embody this principle, you start to understand that your wish, whether it's for love, connection, or anything else, is already on its way. Not because you're desperately manifesting it, but because you're aligned with the natural flow of joy. Think of it like this. Joy is your natural state. Everything else, anxiety, neediness, desperation, these are learned behaviors. The Stoics understood that happiness isn't something you chase, it's something you choose. And when you make that choice, consistently and authentically, you become a magnet for positive experiences and connections. Lisa's story didn't end with her finding the perfect relationship right away. Something better happened. She found herself. And from that place of self-discovery and genuine joy, she naturally attracted people who resonated with her authentic happiness. As Epictetus would say, she stopped trying to make things happen and started letting them unfold naturally. So remember, your wish is indeed on its way. But the real magic isn't in the waiting, it's in the being. Be happy now, be complete now, be authentic now. Because in the end, that's not just the path to attraction, it's the path to a truly fulfilling life. Number 8. Conclusion. The path of effortless attraction. You know, when I first discovered these Stoic principles, I was skeptical. How could ancient philosophy possibly help with modern dating? But as Marcus Aurelius said, the universe is change, but wisdom is eternal. And these principles have proven themselves timeless for one simple reason. They work with human nature, not against it. Let's quickly revisit our journey together. We started with the chase paradox, understanding that the harder we chase, the further our desires run from us. We learned to become rather than pursue. Then we explored the art of detachment, discovering that letting go often brings us closer to what we truly desire. We delved into the power of authentic attraction, learning that our energy speaks louder than our words. Through divine alignment, we discovered how to flow with life rather than fight against it. We examined our desires, learning to distinguish between authentic yearnings and societal programming. We found peace in letting go and trusting the process. And finally, we learned that true happiness isn't a destination. It's the very foundation of magnetic attraction. But here's what I really want you to take away from this journey. The art of attraction isn't about becoming someone different. It's about becoming more authentically yourself. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Think about water for a moment. It doesn't try to flow, it simply flows. It doesn't try to find its path, it discovers it naturally. This is how authentic attraction works. When you stop trying so hard, when you allow yourself to be who you truly are, you become naturally magnetic. Remember my story from the beginning? That desperate 19-year-old chasing after every crush? Well, applying these principles didn't just change my dating life, it transformed my entire approach to life. And I've seen the same transformation in countless others who've embraced these timeless truths. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, try living these principles. Stop chasing and start becoming. Let go of what you can't control and embrace what you can. Choose happiness now, not as a future destination. Trust that what's meant for you will find its way to you. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, what stands in the way becomes the way. Your current challenges in love and attraction aren't obstacles, they're opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to become more authentic, to align with your true nature. And remember, the next time you feel the urge to chase, to control, to force things to happen, pause. Take a deep breath. Recall these ancient principles that have guided countless souls before you. Trust in the process. Trust in yourself. Trust that what belongs to you will simply find you. Because in the end, true attraction isn't about techniques or strategies. It's about becoming so authentically yourself that the right people are naturally drawn to your light. As Seneca said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. You've now got the preparation. The opportunities will follow. Thank you for joining me on this journey through ancient wisdom and modern attraction. Remember, don't chase, attract. What belongs to you will simply find you. Stay authentic, stay true, and most importantly, stay you. Until next time.